Hey everybody, and thank you for joining us on another edition of Chat and Games, your weekly gaming show. I am your host for the evening, Melvin Rodriguez, and joining me as always is the sexy voice in the business, Mr. Matthew Howitt.
Hello.
On today, Matt, today's all about you, you know?
Yeah, finally.
Everybody should be excited.
Finally it's my show.
Finally,
I'm the
today's not...
real host today.
Exactly, no chat and games, no nothing. This is Matt and Games, or Matt and Fun, whatever you want to call it. But yes, if you didn't know, or it's the first time listening to us, I appreciate you tuning into this particular episode. It's awesome to see you here. But usually what we did is kind of a reboot of the show at the moment. Started up last week with my episode. Essentially, I went in and talked about my whole gaming history, where I got started, why I like games so much, and where I'm at the moment. And I believe it's Matt's turn to do that for us today. So I hope you're excited, because I don't know about you, Matt, but when I was doing the exercise of going back and seeing all the games that I played and why it got me excited, like all this excitement about games, yeah, it was actually fun just to think about all the different memories.
Yeah, I had fun kind of re-examining my history and going through like what games I think had the biggest impact on me growing up and whatnot.
I think it also kind of sees how you transition from an early age to now in terms of what games you play, but also brings back, it's like, okay, why did I start playing games in the first place, and see what kind of games actually started as the kind of games that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know how about you. I had 20 pages to start, and unfortunately I couldn't condense them into 1 hour. So if you could tell by the end of the last podcast, I was kind of just rushing a little bit of the last story, but that's okay, because the present is when we actually can reference back and actually talk about, because a lot of games are kind of connected at the moment. So
Yeah.
Matt, let's get us started. What do you
Okay,
got for
well,
us?
I've only got one page of bullet points, so we'll see how much I can stretch this out. Um, so my earliest memories of gaming were back when the N64 came out. We got one
Okay.
for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And we, in this case, being me, my brother, and my dad as well. Because my dad, I don't know if you know this, Melvin, but my dad was quite the gamer
Oh, the elite gamer, I
before
know.
they had me, and then he kind of stopped. But uh, he was a
You
big
you
Zelda
sucked all
fan.
the gaming out of you.
Yeah, we sucked it all out. Um, so he was a big Zelda guy. He played
Okay.
all the Zelda games, and so of course, one of my earliest gaming memories is watching him play through Ocarina of Time.
Ooh.
And
So the first 3D Zelda,
yeah, yeah,
the
and
most overrated game of all time.
not playing it myself, mind you. I was watching someone else go through it,
Mm-hmm.
and I
True.
think because it was my dad, it kind of built up this impression of like this isn't like a me game. This is too much for me. When I'm
Mm-hmm.
older, I can play games like this, but right now this is a dad game.
Yeah.
But still, like of all, even among the games I actually did play on N64, I think I have stronger memories of Ocarina of Time just because it seemed like it was beyond me. Like it was a game I couldn't
Beyond you.
even touch, and that made
It's
it like almost
pretty sure.
sacred in a way.
Yeah, Nintendo's demographic will disagree with you there, because
Oh yeah, for sure. This was purely a me and like my weird mindset
Mm-hmm.
thing, but yeah, my dad played through that all the way to the end. I sat on the couch and watched, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but most of my actual play on the 64 revolved around a lot of multiplayer games with my brother.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
Pokemon Stadium, Diddy Kong Racing,
Mm-hmm.
Smash Bros, and the multiplayer part of Donkey Kong 64,
Ooh. What was
which
it? That was like the versus mode, right?
yeah, and it was
Uh-huh.
awful with two people because so there were basically two different modes. There was one where it was like kind of a shooter type thing,
Mm-hmm.
where you're in a big arena, which were way too big for two people. So
Mm-hmm.
we would mostly just be running around trying to even find each other. Um,
Yeah.
then there was this smaller arena mode where it was all on one screen and you were basically just on this platform and you just beat each other up a certain number of times. But I remember a lot of what we actually did was just like hang around and not fight and then wait for like,
Hmm.
because these enemies would just also spawn to kind of like throw some chaos into the mix. So we would
Hmm.
just like hang around and wait for the enemies to spawn and then just fight them. And it would be like one enemy every minute maybe. And that was fun for us.
That was like, well, you want to co-op. You didn't want to shoot each other.
Yeah, we were looking for co-op games and we did the same thing with Kirby 64, the multiplayer, where
They
there
had a
was
multiplayer?
yeah, they were just mini
What?
games though.
Oh,
There was one where like four people were on this platform and basically like whenever you press A, all the blocks in front of you fall down and you're trying to like catch the other people and make them fall.
okay.
There's a lot of games like that, I think. It's a fairly common mini game trope, but me and my brother, like, to get to the hardest level and like beat the hardest com players, we would both just stand in opposite corners and go like back and forth over and over again so that the
You
com
cheaters.
players would eventually just wander into it.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh. You cheaters. This is the same Kirby 64 that had the double transformation, right? That you can
yeah,
combine powers?
yeah. And I like Kirby 64 is probably one of the earliest single player games that I actually beat because I
Okay.
definitely did not beat Donkey Kong 64. Pokemon Stadium didn't beat the single player, what there was of it. Didn't beat the single player of Diddy Kong Racing either.
Oh,
Uh,
Diddy Kong Racing. I forgot about to talk about that. Yes,
Definitely
yes.
didn't beat the single player of Mario 64, though I did play a bit of it.
Okay.
I was not good, though.
Okay.
Not at
But
all.
did you not think that the game was fun, or it's just you are not good at it, so
No,
you
I
decided to
had
drop it?
fun with it. I was just very bad.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I liked racing the penguin. I liked,
Oh yeah, that was fun. That's still fun.
yeah,
Classic.
little things like that. Bowser was too scary for me. When you got to the room where like you ran down the hallway and Peach's painting turned into Bowser, oh,
Yeah,
had to leave. No, it's too scary.
and the music is it's a bit scary at that age.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the young bucks now watch or play, but back in the day, that was scary.
Yeah, and the piano too. The piano that ate you.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't deal
Mm-hmm.
with that. No way.
That was in the Boo Castle
Yeah, the
thing,
Boo
right?
Castle. I don't know if I even
Yeah.
ever found that as a kid. I
Oh.
mostly remember running around like the oh, the eel was terrifying. I
Oh
definitely
yeah.
couldn't
Okay, I
play the
agree with
water
that.
level.
Uh huh.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that, so it was mostly like Bob Bob Battlefield, Womp's Fortress, and the Penguin World. Or like the only three levels that existed. And the castle, I guess, for me.
Skating, the Sky Castle, right? Or
Well,
you mean
Peach's
the hub?
Castle. Yeah, the hub
Okay, yeah.
world.
Okay, okay.
And
Wow,
then
no, that's awesome.
Majora's Mask came out, and my dad played through about half of that and then quit. And that would mark the end of his Zelda career.
See, this
Ocarina of
is why
Time
you
would be
like
the last game
Ocarina
he
of Time
finished.
better.
Yeah, this is why
You,
I've got a bone to pick with Majora's Mask, but I'm sure we can
your
get into
dad,
that in a future video.
yeah, your dad didn't know what he was doing, all right? All right,
But
yeah, we can
I
get.
do have some other early memories of gaming because my dad did have like an NES and an SNES,
Cool.
and he eventually like broke those back out once me and my brother had kind of like gotten into N64. So through that, we played a lot of like Mega Man 2. I remember
Mm-hmm.
me and my brother just going at over and over again. For the longest time, the only Robot Master we could beat was Crash Man,
Oh, I mean, as a
and
kid, beating one Mega Man boss was the
yeah,
best thing, the best feeling in the world. That was
and
so hard.
we were yeah, it was just like a very slow progress, but it felt like so good whenever one of us would eventually clear something. We never actually beat it, but we did get to Wily's
Mm-hmm.
castle. And
Oh,
then I
that's
remember
an
later
achievement.
in life, we went to that video game cafe in Japan, and they had Mega Man 2, and I got
Mm-hmm.
to Wily's castle within the like 1 hour or so we were there.
You improved your gamer skills, by the way. That's all that matters. That's what you were playing?
Yeah,
Oh. I don't remember. I was too concerned. I was
You were
too
playing
focused on Yoshi's
Yoshi,
Island.
which I will get to because my other big memory of early gaming was whenever we went on trips, we
Hmm.
would play my dad's Game Boy, like original Game Boy, and we only had
Nice.
one, so me and my brother had to share it.
Oof. That's not
So
good.
we played some Dr. Mario, but the main game we played was Link's Awakening. And I think I might have
Sick.
mentioned this to you before, but we would just hang around the town farming rupees for the crane game.
Hmm.
Like we barely made any progress, but that was Zelda for me at a young age.
Yeah.
But also when we were younger, one of the places we traveled to most often was my grandparents' house,
Hmm.
about a 3-hour drive south of Calgary, down on the farm. So some of
Okay.
my cousins had an SNES that they would bring over, and we would play and watch them play Yoshi's Island and Super Mario RPG like every time we went
Ooh.
down there.
Great choices.
Yeah, great soundtracks on both of those games.
Yeah.
Yoshi is still one of my favorite platformers to date. Mario RPG was my first exposure to an RPG like ever.
Hmm.
So, yeah, those left a bit of an impact, and that kind of wraps up my early days.
And I feel like those carried over quite a bit, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll say so.
Hmm.
So, next was the Game Boy Advance, which was the first console I actually owned myself. I got a
Okay,
Game
you
Boy
didn't have to
Advance
share that.
all to myself, and I actually got it so I could play a Game Boy Color game, that being Pokemon Gold.
Ooh. Did
And
you play the other Pokemon before that or no? Like the
no,
Kanto region ones?
no,
Oh.
I was obsessed with Pokemon since Kanto, but only like the show and stuff and Pokemon
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Stadium and Snap. I'd
Uh-huh.
never gotten a chance to play the actual Pokemon because we only had the old original Game Boy. And I think
Okay.
actually I might have originally been playing Gold on that old original Game Boy because now that I think about it, Game Boy Color games worked on that, didn't they?
I do not
I
remember. I
think they
didn't have
did. They
one. I
just
only
didn't
have
have
color.
color. So,
Ah.
anyway, I played Pokemon Gold, and I guess this was the first kind of heavily story based RPG type game I'd played myself. And
Hmm.
even though I could read it, I didn't want to, just because I'm a
Okay.
dumb, lazy kid. So I
I
would
mean,
kind of skim the text. So
that's a lot of
whereas
text.
you were really focusing on like not knowing the language that well and like having to figure
Hmm.
out what was going on. I had to do that too, but it wasn't because I couldn't read. It was just because I was a stupid, lazy kid. And
Hey.
somehow, I don't understand how, but I do distinctly remember, I did make it to Mount Silver and beat Red in that game, which must mean
Wow.
I did all of Johto and all of Kanto.
Yes. Somehow.
But
Yeah, like I don't think I ever did that it myself.
I distinctly remember like some of the dumb things I did were when I beat the second gym, they give you a message, something about like Pokemon up to level 30 received in trades will
Uh-huh.
now obey you. And you
Yeah.
also get the cut HM.
Hmm.
And in my mind, because I was skimming through it, it was like, you got cut. Your Pokemon must be at least level 30 to learn this.
Oh
So
no.
I
Oh
spent
no.
ages grinding my Quilava, which was the only Pokemon I used, my Cyndaquil, Quilava,
Yeah.
Typhlosion, up to level
Mm.
30 so I could teach it cut. And then I
Wow.
couldn't figure out how to actually teach it cut for a while, and I remember crying because I couldn't figure it out. But eventually I got it. So I had cut on
and you
my
and
starter.
you taught it to your starter?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure they had like Rock Smash as well or something.
Oh
Or Strength.
no.
One or the other. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Every battle I use Flamethrower. And I got
Okay.
my Typhlosion up to level 100. And I
Uh,
figured out how to do the glitch where you duplicate a Pokemon. So my endgame team was 3 level 100 Typhlosions, obviously. With cut.
oh my god. That's Rock Smash. Oh no, no.
And that was actually
Wait, there
the
was a glitch that
only.
you could duplicate a Pokemon? I'm learning so many new things.
Yeah, there was a weird glitch with the PC that let you duplicate a Pokemon, and it's like you put your Pokemon, you save and put your Pokemon in and then take the game out while it's saving or uploading or something. I don't remember exactly how, but I know there was a way and I know that I did it.
I can't believe it. At least, like, who taught you that? Like, do you remember?
I remember it was like a rumor going around the school. Like at the time, my elementary school, we're talking about duplicating Pokemon. Everyone was doing it. I was just going along with the crowd, man.
Yeah, but your elementary folks are a lot nicer than my elementary folks. They told me that Goku was on Smash. Do you know how many times I had to spin that Metroid trophy just to see if Goku would show up?
I never got that rumor.
Oh, yeah. Good thing. Anyway, continue.
So that was actually the only Game Boy Color game I ever owned. Got a few games on the Game Boy Advance. Some of them I quite liked. Mega Man Zero, Mega Man Battle Network, of course, were very good.
Oh, Battle Network, yeah.
Also had a lot of like garbage, like licensed games for Game Boy Advance.
Licensed game could be fun. Okay.
I had a terrible Dragon Ball game, terrible Harry Potter game, terrible Shrek and Madagascar games, and an okay Yu-Gi-Oh game, among others that I've probably forgotten.
Oh, the Yu-Gi-Oh game was actually pretty lit. I had that one too.
If
it's the same one. Yeah.
The Battle City one where you just see the city and you pick who to fight. And I know for me, I just fought Mokuba over and over again because he was the easiest and I could actually win against him.
Well, and then you unlock the next level, like after you beat up like some of them at a certain amount of times, then you unlock the next level of trainers or battlers or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think I ever actually got anywhere in that game. I just liked Yu-Gi-Oh! And didn't really understand how to play. So we also got a GameCube around that time. And I think around this time, most of my purchases were determined by games I saw in Nintendo Power, which I was subscribed to.
Okay.
So that was like the big Nintendo magazine at the time.
Yeah, so that's your marketing.
All the upcoming releases. So got some of the like classics like Mario Sunshine, Wind Waker, Pikmin, Melee, of course, Star Fox Assault, Sonic Adventure 2.
Nice.
Also had a bunch of licensed trash on GameCube. Had like an Ultimate Muscle game, a SpongeBob game, 2 Ninja Turtles games. Lego Star Wars was okay.
There was a Star Wars game?
Lego Star Wars.
Oh, Lego Star Wars. Lego Star Wars fun.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars was fun. But I would, through Nintendo Power, also occasionally find out about some more obscure games. Some of which I really enjoyed, like Chibi Robo, I think is still a great hidden gem on the GameCube. Harvest Moon, A Wonderful Life, I really liked. And maybe the game on the GameCube that left the biggest impact on me was Tales of Symphonia, which I also found out through that. So this game took me 64 hours to beat, I think. So at the time, this was the game I had played the most. And this was like over several years. Like I took some pretty lengthy breaks in between these, but I would always come back to it. And this was the first game I played that had like a real story, like not a Pokemon or a Battle Network, like kiddie nonsense. I think the story of Symphonia, I think actually in a lot of ways holds up today even. Like I think the foreshadowing is really well done. There's a lot of things that seem super obvious on replay that I absolutely did not grasp going in. I've come to appreciate some of the characters a lot more going back a like second or third time because this is one of the games I keep coming back to. And I think the protagonist is honestly like really well done. As a person who typically doesn't like most gaming protagonists, I find them often pretty boring.
Okay.
Some of the themes, like one of the biggest kind of themes about the game is like discrimination and whatnot. And I was playing through this game during a time when I was also like learning about that in school. So it felt
nice.
Like, games can kind of like go that extra mile and actually tell some more meaningful stories than Mario has to save the princess or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think this more than any other game, I think is what sparked my love for kind of like story based games, like big single player games. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, like dialogue heavy games, RPGs, just kind of that whole genre started for me with Tales of Symphonia. This was kind of like the game that opened my eyes to what games could be.
The whole there that was a big impact. The fact that you could that now you say that games have story
It also,
and
yeah, well, you got to consider like I'm mostly playing licensed garbage and
true,
Nintendo games up to this point. So
true, true.
it also fooled me into thinking I was a fan of Tales of games, which turned out to not be the case. I just like Symphonia.
It's just like that one in
the
particular.
the
But
other
did you
games
play
I
any other
played,
tales?
yeah, I like Abyss well enough. I didn't really like Vesperia.
That was fairly recent PS3
Yeah,
era.
they recently re-released it because a lot of people do like it.
Okay.
It's not for me. I played Zestiria and Berseria, and I didn't even finish either of those. I just kind of got
Okay.
bored. Symphonia did eventually get a sequel, which I think is the worst of the Tales of games I've
Ooh.
played. It was very, very bad, and I was very sad about that. But I
Oh
guess that
wow.
kind of brings us to the Wii and DS era, since that was a Wii
Nice.
game.
You never got any of the like just Nintendo all the way so far, right?
Yeah, no, I'm getting to that eventually.
Oh, okay, okay.
So this at this point, I am still like the worst kind of Nintendo fanboy, where I think, oh, all the other consoles just care about graphics and shooters and like dumb stuff, and Nintendo's the only one who makes good games. And
Fair.
you
Fair.
know
Fair.
that type of
Yeah,
fan
that
because
mentality, I get it.
those were the consoles I had, so they had to have the best
Hmm.
games. That's how it
Yeah,
works.
yeah. Oh, obviously.
Anyway,
That's why I needed every console because then I couldn't get it wrong.
so I think the DS and the Wii era is when I become a true gamer. Because
Ooh.
gone is the license trash. I look at my like Wii library. It's Galaxy 1,
Solid.
Galaxy 2,
Yeah.
Twilight Princess, Super Paper Mario, Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, Xenoblade, Animal Crossing City Folk, Smash Bros. Brawl, Skyward Sword, Mario Kart, New Super Mario Bros., Epic Yarn, Return to Dreamland, Okami, Monster Hunter Tribe, Pandora's Tower, Strikers Charged, and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. And it's like
Yeah.
all solid, or at least games with some effort
Yeah.
behind them.
Yeah. But especially during the Wii era when there was a lot of shovelware
Yeah,
thrown at that console.
yeah. I was too smart for that at this point.
That's good.
I
I
knew my
got
stuff.
Spider-Man 3 and it was a mistake.
And the DS had a lot of stuff I liked as well. What was it? There was something
Is
specific
that
on DS I
is that the
wanted
one
to.
with Advance Wars?
Advance
When did
Wars.
Advance Wars?
Advance Wars was on Game Boy Advance. There
Okay.
were some DS ones though, and I did play one of the DS ones, and I quite enjoyed that.
Okay.
But
Metro
yeah,
Prime Hunters, right? That's the one that
uh,
we were talking about.
I never played the full game of Metroid Prime Hunters.
Yeah,
Uh,
makes sense.
oh, I remember what I was going to say. So the DS generation of Pokemon, by this point I was playing Pokemon like every gen since Gold.
Okay.
So Pokemon Pearl was the first time where I actually knew what I was doing and didn't just train my starter and didn't give my Pokemon all of like one type of move or teach my starters HMs, stuff like
Did you
that.
did you were you a fire type kind of guy that just picked the fire starter?
I was up until Pearl, and then it's like, well, obviously Torterra.
Oh my gosh, Torterra, thank you. That was my next question.
No, I was smart by then. But
Good,
yeah,
good.
DS had some good stuff. The World Ends with You was kind of like my Tales
Hmm.
of Symphonia of this generation. I really, really enjoy that game. Ghost
Hmm.
Trick, I've mentioned before, was one of my favorite games of the last decade. Rhythm
Hmm.
Heaven was a lot of fun. And yeah, overall, like people complain about the Wii era. This was a great era for me. I was having a blast.
Oh yeah, I think it's a matter of how you see it, right? Because again, you have the shovelware there, a lot
Yeah.
of it. So if you went that route, I could totally see why people would like even games that were third party and were kind of making their way to the Wii. Let's say that if you got Call of Duty there compared to the other consoles, like first of all, why would you even do that? But that happened. That could have happened. Or
Yeah.
if you get the FIFA or the third party, so it's like, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
obviously
guess
the
that
Wii wouldn't be as good.
really, and or just people had kind of this issue with motion controls in general, and
Yeah.
the idea that Nintendo was kind of making a lot of their stuff more casual. Skyward
Hmm.
Sword gets hit with that criticism a lot, and it's partly earned. There's you can definitely see it in places, but overall there was a lot to like here. Another one I didn't
Yeah.
really touch on was World of Goo. Was the first like indie
Oh,
game that really caught my attention and I really enjoyed. And
that was
that
on the Wii that you
like
got it?
from then on I was kind of paying a bit more attention to that scene of
Hmm.
smaller games,
Okay.
which to this day has gotten me some of the games I've most enjoyed have come from the indie scene. So that's a big one
That's
for me
awesome.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That.
this was also the generation where I finally stopped being a garbage Nintendo fan and got myself a Xbox 360.
I
And
mean, was that a mistake?
I think the 360 was quite good actually, and
Okay, good,
I
good.
actually have pretty fond memories of it. Specifically,
Hmm.
the orange box changed my life
Ooh, yes.
because what? So we had Half-Life 2, and then Half-Life 2
When?
Episode 1 and 2. Great
Where did you have?
games
Where did you have it?
on the orange box.
Okay. Oh, okay, okay.
So the orange
Yeah, I
box
thought
was
you
a
had it before.
collection of 5 games,
Yeah,
3 of which
yeah.
were Half-Life. All very solid games, kind of allowed me to reevaluate my position on shooters just being dumb garbage.
Okay, yeah.
But more than that, probably the other two, Portal, I think is still probably one of the most perfect games ever made in terms of like executing on its vision. I don't think there's a
Okay.
single thing I would change about Portal. Fantastic
Man.
puzzle game. But for me,
Yeah.
the real gem here was Team Fortress 2.
Oh, yeah.
And I think for me, this was massive. So
Yeah, I think around that time, I don't know, towards the tail end of the Team Fortress 2 era, that's when I met you, I think.
yeah,
Because I
I
remember
think that's
talking to you
true.
about Team Fortress 2, but you're already like a master of it. So,
I still to this day have kind of trouble putting my finger on like what specifically it was about TF2 that to this day there hasn't been another shooter that I've loved as much as I loved TF2.
mhm.
TF2 I think is the game I've sunk more hours into than any other game ever. I've got uh between me and my brother we had 500 hours on Xbox, so let's be generous and assume 200 of those were me. And I've also got
Sure.
almost 400 hours on Steam. And I know there's some people out there, you'll just, 600 hours, that's it. I've spent like 2,000 hours in this and that.
Yeah.
600 hours is a lot for me. Like, I like to play a lot of
Think.
games. I like to spread the love, have a lot of
Yeah.
different experiences. I do
Hmm.
not spend 600 hours on games. I very rarely spend 100 hours on a single game, unless it's
Yeah.
something like
No,
Breath of the
no.
Wild.
I think it's a big accomplishment for people that play a lot of games a lot of the time. They don't that like you and me like to play different games for different experiences.
Yeah,
So the fact that you spend so much time on just one singular game, it's a testament
yeah.
to how much that it had an impact on you. There's a lot of people because the people that say that they played 1,000 hours of a particular game, they don't usually play other games. They just play that
Yeah,
one.
they know that they've got their one, and that's fine too. Like,
Yeah.
there's different kinds of people looking for different kinds of things. If you've just got that one game and you're just mastering that
Hmm.
is what you want to do, then I'd say good on you.
Yeah,
That's not
absolutely.
me though. Typically, that's not me. But I got not too bad at TF2 compared
I mean,
to
not too
how I
bad.
usually perform in most shooters.
Yeah. Okay. No, TF2. No, I get it. I get it. It's totally fine. If you had similar feelings, or at least if I had a pinch of what you felt with TF2 with Overwatch, I understand.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah, I did get into a lot of other franchises that I previously probably would have like stuck my nose up at and thought they were dumb
mhm.
like garbage because they weren't on Nintendo.
Like
But
which one?
a lot of games I did really enjoy on 360: Halo Reach, Left 4 Dead 2,
Uh
Mass
huh.
Effect, courtesy of Melvin himself.
Yeah. I mean,
Telltale's The
you had to
Walking
play it.
Dead, Dragon
Yeah.
Age Inquisition, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which was my first Platinum Games game, Portal
Did the
2.
Inquisition was Xbox One, I think,
It
wasn't it?
was both.
Oh, right, right. You're right.
Yeah, it was like right at the tail end. Rock Band,
Hmm.
we got into that whole thing as well. Skyrim, of
I mean, who
course.
didn't?
Castle Crashers, Fable 3, which I understand a lot of people don't like.
Okay.
Apparently, it's the worst Fable game, but it's the only one I played, and I thought it was okay. I had
Okay.
fun with it. There were other ones I had less fun with. Like, I decided Assassin's Creed 3 would be when I would give that series a try. And
What a mistake.
yeah, that one was not great.
Oh
Bioshock
no.
Infinite didn't really do it for me either. That was the one
Mm-hmm.
Bioshock game I tried, and I've already mentioned Tales of Vesperia just
Mm-hmm.
didn't do it for me. But
Right.
going back to TF2 just for a bit,
Mm-hmm.
because that game, like beyond being my favorite thing I played on 360, was
Yeah.
also kind of what helped me transition into the world of PC gaming because it went free to play, and I knew on PC there were a whole ton of updates and like new maps, new items, uh, like mods and
They drew
custom
you
game
in.
modes and stuff that they didn't have on
Mm-hmm.
360. 360 was always just the base weapons for each class, 6
Yeah.
maps, and that's it. That's all you get. Compared to PC, there's like hundreds of maps,
Yeah.
um, different game modes, different like people make WarioWare in Team Fortress. They there's a thing called Parkour Fortress where they change the whole game so it's just like running through these courses. There's
All
Death
right.
Run. There's all kinds of crazy nonsense that people have modded into the game, as well as a ton of more like weapons and cosmetics and all that.
Yeah.
So when that went free to play, it's like, oh well, I guess I'm gonna move
I mean,
over
you're
to
gonna.
PC now.
It's like the fact that you could get extra content for free with mods and stuff. That's for a game that you already loved so much.
Yeah, and that was obviously unheard of on consoles at that time. So,
Yeah.
like prior to that, we kind of had an older PC where me and my brother played like educational games like Zoombinis, and we had a Spider-Man cartoon maker game that was
Okay.
pretty rubbish. We did eventually get a slightly better PC where we played like Zoo Tycoon and Age of Mythology, but overall, not much of a PC gamer. So
Okay.
TF2 went free to play around the time where I'd gotten my own laptop for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of spurred me into getting into Steam, which of course is where I play the vast majority of my games now.
Yeah.
Uh, Minecraft also came out shortly thereafter, and that was another
Mm-hmm.
big thing for me getting into PC gaming. I
A
remember
mistake,
going
but
on.
okay.
You're gonna try it at one point, Melvin. You can only run
Okay.
for so long.
True.
But
I
yeah,
mean, it's taken over even the Minecraft dungeons and stuff. But anyway, yeah.
I
Continue.
remember me and my brother server hopping, trying to find like a decent server to play on because if you're playing Minecraft, you want to build stuff, but you also want people to actually see it. So you don't
Yeah.
just want to play on your own. But all these servers had their own weird rules about like, oh, you gotta buy this land before you can build anything on it, or
Mm-hmm.
they just had so many players that the whole beginning area was completely devoid of trees, and it was just a bunch of people
Yeah.
respawning in the same spawn area, punching each other to death over and over again. It's like, who would do
Wow.
this? Is this fun?
Minecraft looks like fun.
We did find some good servers eventually. Had some fun there. So if I kind of look over my history of PC gaming since then, it seems like the games I put the most time into were stuff like Overwatch, Stardew,
Mm-hmm.
Factorio, Age of
Mm-hmm.
Empires, like the multiplayer games, the
Yeah.
games I was playing through with friends. So I think the PC is kind of more leaning in that direction for me in
Mm-hmm.
games that I would play with other people. But
Yeah.
I do still have like really fond memories of Nier Automata, Hat in Time, Undertale,
Mm-hmm.
Zero Time Dilemma, various Telltale stuff, Obra Dinn, Owlboy, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has. I have played a lot of solid single player stuff too. It's just I think multiplayer when we get hooked on a multiplayer game, we can sink a lot of time into that.
Okay, yeah. The main fact is you got the PC, you're running with mostly multiplayer. You got your single player in there as well.
Yeah.
But what happened in the console world?
All right, back to the console world. We're now getting to the 3DS Wii U era, the
Yeah.
dark days to be a Nintendo fan. But
You
no,
say dark days, but it had good. The Wii U had great
yeah,
games.
and 3DS had a lot of great games as well. I
Which one? The 3DS, 3DS XL, 3DS, new 3DS XL, the 2DS, which one?
I've got my original 3DS, which I actually didn't get at launch because the 3DS launch was not great.
Yeah, I
I
remember
forget
that.
what game it was that pushed me over the edge. It might have been Animal Crossing New Leaf. I don't fully
Okay.
remember, but yeah, I did eventually get my 3DS, and I do have an extra large around as well. So my original 3DS now exists purely for Kid Icarus because I don't want to destroy the screen on my
Okay.
new 3DS. But yeah, as you know, Kid Icarus, I love it.
Yeah.
But there were like periods of this, like while there were a lot of good games on Wii U. Like I love Xenoblade Chronicles X, Wonderful
Mm-hmm.
101, Bayo 2, Mario 3D World, Pikmin 3, Tropical Freeze, of course,
Tropical Freeze.
and
I was gonna say if you don't
Smash
mention that, we
Bros.
cannot talk
Yeah,
again.
there was a lot of good stuff, but there were a lot of periods of kind of not much going on.
Okay.
And I think that might be partly what spurred me, also because the Wii U had a fantastic virtual console.
Yeah.
This is probably around when I started going back to a lot of games I had missed previously and getting a lot more into
Okay.
that. So, like, pretty much the entire Metroid series I played on Wii U. Super Metroid,
Uh huh.
Zero Mission, and all three Primes.
Yeah.
I played through all of the Ace Attorney series. I think this was a bit before that. But
Ace
even
Attorney. Wow.
on PC as well through Steam,
Okay.
I went back and played like Psychonauts, Resident Evil 4, Mass
Mm-hmm.
Effect 2, um,
Mm-hmm.
some other games I played. Earthbound, I went back and played, as well as the original Earthbound Beginnings when that was released. And boy,
Yeah.
that's a game.
In a good way or a bad game?
um, I liked it, but it's a bad game.
Okay.
it's it's got
Fair
its
enough.
charms. It is a very unique game in how it presents itself, but it is, by modern standards, it's very cruel and unusual in some of the ways it's set up.
Like difficulty wise?
Yeah, yeah, just ridiculous encounter rates and enemies, and you talk to an NPC and they sneeze, so then you get sick, and that's basically like the equivalent of poison. So you get poisoned for
Oh
talking to
gosh.
an NPC. Like,
Okay.
thanks, game.
I mean, it kind of resembles a little bit what's happening in the world right now. So
Oh, ahead of its time.
ahead of its time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The GBA Fire Emblem games, I went back and
Mm-hmm.
played Final Fantasy IX, Dragon Quest IV.
Okay.
Yeah, just in general, that's been a lot more what I'm doing. And I've really enjoyed a lot of that. Like, Metroid,
Just
as you
going
know,
back.
I'm obsessed with now. Those
Yeah.
are fantastic games. I really loved Earthbound. I really loved Psychonauts and Resident Evil 4. Ace Attorney is one of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite franchises now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that kind of leads us on into Switch, where things are nice. I guess I did also have an Xbox One last gen.
You
That
don't talk about that,
Now
right?
that was a mistake. Yeah. Xbox One has not been a great, it's been a multi-plat machine. Like, the most played game I think we have on it is Dark Souls 3, which is good,
Okay.
but we
It's a
can
good
play
game.
that plenty of places. You didn't need
Mm-hmm.
an
Mm-hmm.
Xbox One for that.
True.
But yeah,
I see.
I am enjoying my Switch. And if I get another console this gen, it will almost certainly be a PS5 over an Xbox Scarlet or whatever.
I believe it's called Xbox Series X, not to be confused by Xbox One X.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, Microsoft is letting us play all their games on PC now, anyways, so don't need it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I do want to try to get both when they come out. We'll see when that happens, and we'll see how I can present the money plan to Miss Funny Games to make sure that things are on par for that.
Yeah, good
But
luck
yeah,
with
no,
that.
so yeah, it's gonna be a hard sell.
But yeah,
But yeah, no,
that
it's good
concludes
to hear.
my gaming history.
See, you made it concise, you made it nice, you made it entertaining. You succeeded where I failed.
Thanks.
That's the main thing.
That's all I
That's the main
ever
thing.
aim to do is make up for your shortcomings, numerous
Thank
as
you.
they may be.
And the bar is set too high. No, but that's awesome. Good to hear all the different stages. I love how the Xbox One is just like an era that you
just an
just
ad,
forget about it.
yeah, just a little
Yeah.
author's note at the end. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. That happened, sure.
It's cool how you went back during the hiatus, or well, when Nintendo, you said the dark side of Nintendo with the
Yeah.
Wii U, and there was a little gap, so you decided just to go back with the classics.
Yeah, and the Wii U did enable that in some way. Like a lot of the games I listed, I played on the Virtual Console because
Yeah,
they had that on Wii U. Wink, wink,
it will,
nudge,
it will
nudge.
come back to the Switch at some point. Hopefully, maybe, we'll see. We need the GameCube now. The GameCube Retro Console,
Yes, please.
please. I missed so many games on the GameCube because that was my Macho Man era, so I needed to play all you know, the hardcore on the
Yeah,
GameCube for some reason.
GameCube didn't have enough blood and guts.
Oh man, but no, that's a good story. I mean, you can tell where the Nintendo roots came in.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely got my roots there, but I like to think I'm better now. I'm a new man.
you have diversified. You got the PC gaming now too,
Yeah.
and the fact that you're gonna be if you ever get the other console, you'll also get to the PS5. So I guess one main thing that I want to conclude on, which era was the one that you're most fond on? Was it the
Ooh,
early stages when you played with your dad, or was it some other time when you were mostly now playing, getting the consoles on yourself and that sort of stuff?
ooh, that's rough.
I'm hitting you up with the hard
I
questions
think
right
I
at
would
the get go.
say DS Wii 360 era because
Okay.
that is when I feel like I came into my own more. I was
Mm-hmm.
playing pretty much exclusively good games. GameCube had a
Okay.
lot of stinkers for me because I was a dumb kid and I'm like, oh yeah, that Shadow the Hedgehog game looks super cool. I'm sure that'll be a blast.
You
And
didn't play the Wolf Sonic game, right? Like
no,
he gets
no, that
fur.
was on Wii, and
Okay.
my Wii collection is good.
Yeah, it's
And
spot
then
on.
yeah, played plenty of awesome games on 360 and DS as well. That was
Mm-hmm.
an all around good era for me. And well, I think like we could easily have games as good in maybe more modern times with Switch and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh some of the magic is just kind of lost for me at this point. Now that I'm a
Okay.
grumpy old man, it's just not going to be quite the same as when I was a kid. And I think that
True.
DS Wii 360 era was just the perfect like midpoint between me still being young and bright-eyed and
Mm-hmm.
easily impressed, as well as me being a bit more intelligent with my game selection and a bit better at games and better at finishing
Okay.
games. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, but a new era will come. The different feelings that you
yeah.
didn't get before will
And
come
like
now.
I wouldn't say any era. Like I called the Wii U the dark side or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
dark
The dark
times.
times.
But I did enjoy my 3DS and Wii U a lot, even if
Mm-hmm.
like there were portions where I was mostly enjoying going back and experiencing old games. That's kind of the thing is there's so many games out there now, so many games I've missed and haven't played. There's never
Mm-hmm.
really going to be a time when I just have nothing worthwhile to play.
True. And
Yeah.
that's the good thing about having a big backlog. The main problem is that there's just so many games
Yeah.
now that come out and could potentially be good, and but you don't have the time to play them anymore.
Yeah. And
So it's
since we have a bit of extra time, I guess you can answer that question as well, since it didn't come up last time. Which era?
Well, because I talk too much. That's probably why.
Which era is Melvin's favorite?
Ooh, which era? That's a tough question because
you asked me and you didn't have an answer yourself.
I didn't have no. Well, this was your show. We talked about it at the beginning, so I didn't expect a question for me.
I've turned the tables on him.
Okay. It's I'm deciding between two eras. I'm deciding between the N64 Game Boy Color era, because I remember a lot of games from there, and a lot of my main thing is every game that I play usually is tied with the story. It wasn't necessary on that particular era.
Gotcha.
There was a story behind every purchase and what things happened.
Yeah,
so that's why it took so long.
When you're a kid, it's also a lot more like when you get a game, it's a big deal. Whereas now it's like I can get a new game whenever I want. I'll go buy 1,000 games right now.
That's the main
Humble
thing. So
bundle.
Before, oh gosh, the Humble Bundle, the HIO, which you should actually get. They're very good. Great causes.
Yeah, I did get that one, the most recent one.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think the reason I can't distinguish between the two, because I do have a lot of stories in the N64 like Game Boy Color era, but in terms of games also, I play so many games during the PlayStation. I had a PlayStation 3 instead of I had a 360 alongside it.
Yeah.
But I had so many. But that's the time when I was obsessed with platinums. Like getting platinum was my main goal. So I played so many good games.
Yeah.
And at that point it was about the games themselves. But that's when I didn't have Nintendo with me. As opposed to the other era, the N64, it was only Nintendo.
You didn't have a Wii?
So
you had a Wii.
I did have a Wii, but again, I told you that
you
the Wii wasn't my
main console.
main
of
console.
Those games, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All the things that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure I only had like 3 of what you said. all the other stuff was like shovelware or stuff like.
Oh yeah, Dragon Ball I know was a big one for you.
Oh yeah, Dragon Ball. Okay, you did. Thank you for bringing up Dragon Ball. At least you brought some happiness. Twilight Princess, Dragon Ball are the two main ones.
What about Smash Bros. Brawl? You were a Brawl guy?
Yeah, but I think I play a lot more Melee and 64 than I did Brawl. I think so. So that's why it's still a great game, but I played the other ones a lot more.
Yeah.
I think about that point I was falling out with the Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And then Ultimate came out and I still played that quite a bit. So.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing about that kind of Wii era for me is that, yeah, like I said, that is when I started branching out from Nintendo a bit more. And yeah, I think that's why just my mindset, more than the games themselves, I think it was more my mindset at the time that kind of makes that my favorite era. Because I think every era has had amazing games, some of which I missed, some of which I didn't. But yeah, I think for me it's more of a mindset thing. And I do think there are things like you said, when you're younger, each individual game you get matters a lot more. When I'm older now, like I can be even more informed on my purchases and actively seek out smaller games that a younger me probably would have never heard of. So yeah, every era has their benefits. I think that one just slightly edges out for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to tell. I mean, everything had its magic.
Yeah.
I do regret a lot of the times, like just putting the Wii or the GameCube aside for, I don't know, what I call hardcore games, because there were a lot of things that I miss. At the same time, I do have a lot of things to come back to if I wanted to, which is awesome.
Right.
Because on your side, the good thing is like you have not having a PlayStation now. You got I believe a fair bit of exclusive games.
I gotta get my Persona on.
Yeah, exactly, Persona. At least you can get the Persona 4 on Steam now, so that's a thing.
Yeah, that is a thing.
If you have 100 hours to spare,
we'll see if I look into that, because I do already know the whole story for that game. So.
Okay, then I don't know if it makes. What about
I've held up on
Persona 5?
Do you know 5. I don't know Persona 5 yet because I'm still hoping that it's going to come to Switch, or if not, it'll probably come to PS5 again, right? Probably.
It's supposed to be backwards compatible.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's
So
true.
it doesn't matter. As long as you get that disc version, you should be fine, I
Yeah.
guess. They haven't said many details about backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I'll just
But
have
we'll
to
see.
figure out whether or not Royale is actually better or worse because my Persona-loving friend seems conflicted.
Really?
Yeah.
All my Persona loving friends said that Royale is actually better. They fix a lot of the things that they
Okay,
didn't
I
like.
heard Royale had like better content, but they also kind of ruined the ending or something.
Oh, okay. My friends haven't finished it,
Ah,
so
gotcha.
so maybe they're right.
Anyway, we are grossly off
Yeah.
topic at this point.
Oh yeah. At this point, so might as well just end it over here. Again, thanks to anybody who joined us for Matt's story. Matt, thank you for compiling that. I hope it was a lot of fun hearing your journey
Of course.
through the entire video game world. Now that we got some credibility, right? Because we said all the games that we play, so that makes us credible.
Yep.
Um,
That means our opinions matter and are 100% accurate at all times.
Yeah,
because we have
factual.
indeed played video games in the past.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, you had it here first. So now that you can trust us with our gaming opinions, we're gonna be diving a lot into other topics in the coming weeks. We'll see how this whole conversation turns out. We just want to have it, making sure that it's fun for everybody. We have topics in the pipeline that we want to discuss. It will also depend on what things come out, some news. Because, for example, the week that we're recording this, Pokemon Snap came out.
The day we're
Or not
recording
came out.
this, Pokemon
The
Snap.
day, sorry.
I'm still shaking.
Yeah. By the time you hear this, it might be old news. The game might already been out or whatever. But it's a new era. There's gonna be new things to discuss. We got a lot of topics to talk about. Lots of games that we wanna play together. So hopefully you can join us for all of that. Keep an eye out on the social medias. It's all fun and games on Twitter, Instagram. We also have a Discord channel if you want to join us. Talk to where we have more one-to-one conversations. And if you have any feedback, comments, a little bit of your own gaming story that we would like to hear about, you can email us at itsallfunandgamestv@gmail.com because somebody stole my other one. And you can also just comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Because we want to hear from you. It's awesome to hear everybody's story, because everybody's story says, even if you play the same games, you might have different opinions or you have a different story behind it, which is awesome to hear. To me, that's fascinating. That's what I like to do, what I do. In any other case, this has been another week of chatting games. Any final remarks, Matt, from your episode?
Bye.
Alright, so that's chatting games. We're signing off, buds. Talk to you later.